little bit of anger. It doesn't make sense to me why they're closing. They want to shut down a profit machine. It doesn't make any sense to me.
We need all the help we can get to bring good jobs back to the community.
The same anger and fear as Oshawa, but in a community that's been there, done that more than once. In 2011, it wasn't GM, but Ford that shuttered its assembly plant there, putting about 1,100 people out of work in a city where only about 35,000 lived. It was the last of the bigs to go, and it left St. Thomas with one of the highest unemployment rates in the entire country. So it was low, but it has picked itself up, and there are lessons in that for the people of Oshawa. GM announced last week that it will close Oshawa's plant next year. 2,500 people will lose their jobs, and as Colin Butler tells us from St. Thomas, in that pain, there is opportunity.
St. Thomas is like no other city in Canada. Built in the golden age of railroad, it has a haunting beauty. Maybe because everywhere you look, you can still see its ghosts.
We call ourselves a railway city, and yet there's barely a railway that runs through it anymore. But in its day, it's what built the community.
Joe Preston is the mayor of a city that's still rebuilding from its long deindustrialization.
This was the Timken roller bearing factory, and this will become residential, commercial. This is how you regrow. Look, I mean, you can sit and feel sorry for yourself, or you can get up and do something about it.
And St. Thomas has had plenty to feel sorry about. The 2008 recession closed the Sterling heavy truck plant, putting 1,000 people out of work. In 2011, it was Ford. Generations of people had worked there. Today, all that's left is decay.
It's amazing to think that this is all that's left of it. This used to be a sprawling complex, more than 2 million square feet of production space. 1,400 people were working here when it closed. Now it's all gone.
Gone, but like the railroad before it, it's not forgotten.
You know, it was a shock to our community as well as the people that worked there because it was a successful plant.
Paul Corriveau is a second-generation Ford worker. He worked the line for 10 years. He could have left St. Thomas, but he stayed, and together with his partners built a successful business. They own Railway City Brewing, which employs a number of former Ford workers.
I think it's just as easy to rebuild something in your own community as it is find a new community and try to find a new identity.
If Oshawa can learn anything from St. Thomas, it's that there's life after death. Choices matter, and so does perseverance. When Ford left, it hurt this city. Same with the railroads 60 years before that. Through both of those, this city kept running. And while it may have limped for a while, it was only because of a wounded economy and not from wounded pride. Colin Butler, CBC News, St. Thomas.